All right. What's up, everybody? It is 8:33 AM EST. Right. Start the show. Bitcoin seeing a bit of a dip, right? We talked about this. We were kind of wondering whether or not we were going to see a little bit more down before we saw up. We were wondering if the pre-halving dip was complete. And the question is, we don't know, but we're going to find out soon, right? Because the halving is only in about 2.5 weeks. So there's a decent chance that it's either done and it's just, prices consolidating on the way up. Always that chance that it heads down. And we do what we always do at Algo Factory. We play it level by level. We don't worry so much about what's going to happen in 2 weeks because we are making money on what happens in 2 hours or 2 days, right? So let's go ahead and see who's in the comments. Good morning, Cool Cat. Good to have you in, sir. Let me go ahead and spread the link around just a little bit here. So yeah, if anybody is watching, first of all, please like, subscribe, follow me if you're watching this on X. If you have any charts that you want to see after Bitcoin or even questions about this Bitcoin chart, go ahead and ask, and I will be happy to, to answer those questions. All right, so just spreading that link around. We got, oh, good. We have a few people fighting Durham, Diane. Good to have you all in. Let's go ahead and ask the audience really quick. For those of you who are in the comments, do you think that Bitcoin is going to dip lower than the low on this chart from this this March low, this 60,750? Right, just a quick informal poll. This is not counting that that deep low we had when Bitcoin pulled back really hard after the ETF, right? So we're talking about, excuse me, about the post March 5th low of 60,750. Just a quick audience poll. Do you think Bitcoin is going to dip below that before the halving, or do you think that Bitcoin is done dipping that low? Mopar Man over on Rumble thinks no, it's not going to dip below that. If I'm and Finding Durham says yes, it will dip below that. If I didn't characterize those answers correctly, please let me know. Diane says lower. Okay, so Diane thinks it's going to dip lower, right? And one of the things that I've been talking about on the on like the YouTube videos that I do, there's this live video, and then I also do a video where I usually will profile a given cryptocurrency, that I think will do well on the bull run or whatever it might be. I might also just go over some charts. And on those daily videos and these, I usually am talking about how the pullback before the halving for Bitcoin is usually deeper than 20%, right? It's either 20 to 30%. Now, it depends how you measure it. There are those who validly will say that it can go down as high as 40%. I don't like to include 2020 in that data set. And also, more March, good to see you in here. Also, we have to be careful on using the halving as a very strong data set because there haven't been that many halvings, right? So when I do my back testing, right, when I'm actually testing my trading methodology and I want to try to use that data to assign a probability to what might happen next, I have to be careful when there's not a lot of data, and there is not a lot of data on halvings. I don't have 200 halvings that I can look back and say, okay, well, 50% of the time this happens, or 80% of the time that happens. There just isn't enough data. Okay. Now we're going to pause just a moment. I do need to take a quick trade. Okay. Perfect. Just had to go long. I'm scalping the euro. Scalping the euro. Okay, edit alert, delete that. You can see the euro. I took that long. That's a scalp. So I'm taking a quick long, just shaving off, $50, $100, $1,000 here and there, depending on the risk of the trade, right? If it's like a really nice trade, then I'll go a bit heavier on there. But looks like we're good here. Yeah, am I in this trade? I'm in the trade. Good. All right, so let's go head over to the euro, mark my levels, and we'll come back to Bitcoin. This is a live trading show, so if I do take trades on here, I had the trigger ready to pull on that trade. So I had everything set up and I was waiting for the indications, and looks like I'm in the money here. Let's see. Let me expand this really quick. So pardon me for trading. It's kind of what I do. And where's my actual entry on this? 1.07. There's a lot of people who do these shows and they don't trade. They just they talk about things, and you can't trust those people. If somebody's doing these shows and not trading, they're probably LARPing. 1.07, 519, 518, 519. No, that can't be my entry because I'm already ahead. Give me a second. I gotta look on another screen here. Plus, I got a weird malfunction here. I'm gonna do something really quick. Excuse me for this. Got to zoom out a bit. Get rid of a panel. Whoa. Okay. And my entry here is. So what happens when you run multiple screens and you're one of those guys? Okay, 504, 1.07, 504. So you'll notice that this is a very quick scalp on the euro, right? So this is a nice 2-to-1 scalp. And my algos say I can do this. It's not a very large trade because this is, as you can see on the 5-minute chart, this is literally degen crackhead trading, except that I can say I'm not a degen because I have algorithms that I have put together for this, right? Like I've actually built a scientific ability to say, hey, I can get in here, get out there, and I'm going to win 78% of the time, right? This one's actually a little bit better than 78%. That's, that is what that is. So you notice each of these candlesticks is 5 minutes worth of price action. So there's a good chance that I will come out of this trade in about 1 or 2 hours, if not more quickly. And I'm already ahead in the money. So let's go back to Bitcoin. Again, apologies for the distraction. We got a few more answers to my Bitcoin question. MabVet says lower to grab liquidity. Okay. Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one. That's quite possible. So let me see, Bitcoin. I mean, it definitely, I would say just judging on the algos, this crazy screen that you see right here, I would say that's the case. Don't let the screen intimidate you. This is actually not that complex. It's just a multi-time frame analysis using mathematics. So don't worry about that. Most algos are far more simple than that, right? I'm just kind of, doing what I do, just on some, someone who's been doing it for a long time. I can read this stuff. It doesn't cross my eyes, and you'll get there too. We teach you how to do that. Algo Factory, not a big deal. All right, so I'm going to draw out what appears to be a range developing, right? And there's some old price action back here that does lead me to believe that price may bounce back and forth. And the halving is scheduled to be on the 19th, right? So when the halving occurs, usually, at least historically in the years, Bitcoin will either kind of drop right before the halving and then possibly come back up, right at the halving. That usually within like several weeks of the halving being over, that's when Bitcoin like really does its thing, right? So, that's something to look at. Yeah. Let me just do a quick alarm on the euro. Yeah, we'll leave that. Okay, we'll leave that for a moment. So what do I think will happen? Well, I'll think right now, this is, I wouldn't say this is a very well-established range just yet. I would not even start to look at it until, look, there's a decent chance price is going to head down and grab this 60,800 area, right? This makes a lot of sense. It's the bottom of where a lot of price action already hit. Let's go over to the Kingfisher and see where liquidity is on the charts here. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin, get a liquidity map. And right now, there's a lot of liquidity sitting at 63,700 all the way to 64,700. So it's like $1,000 band. So 63.7 to 64.7. That's pretty close to price right now. Okay, so basically there, more or less. So that's not going to be that useful unless you are scalping, right? If you're on a lower time frame, you might be able to scalp, pull some money out of that. And that's a very obvious place where price is going to go next. So let's go ahead and take another look. We do see to the upside a fair amount of liquidity sitting at 69.9 all the way to 70,900, 71,000 really. So we can always go and put a quick block right here to 70,000, 71 really. Okay, so now if the charts and the algos and everything else were to favor a move up, I would expect price to head back up and grab liquidity up at this top side. Okay. But that's not the case right now. The charts and the algos all favor a move down. Okay. So that being the case, there is a decent chance we will see price go ahead and grab downside. So let's go back to liquidity charts. Liquidity is a bit messy. There's not really any strong areas of liquidity. I mean, there is a bit of a needle here at about 60,400. So we can put a line right around that area. And that's just below the bottom of this range, right? It really is pretty much the bottom of that range. So price may head down there, but again, that's not a very prominent liquidity node. Yeah, I wouldn't really like make a lot of decisions based on that at this point. So, we'll see what happens with it. But at the moment, I would expect price to head down and at least grab liquidity right there. And once that happens, what might happen is people might see price start to catch a little support. And when it does catch some support, price may kind of make people think that it's going to go back up. So the only other options we have to look at liquidity are going to be on the charts, right? There's not a lot sitting on the Kingfisher, and that's not the entire view of liquidity. Those are just the actual liquidations that we see on the exchanges, right? On the leveraged exchanges. And we're not going to go through a big explainer of the Kingfisher. That's not, I don't think, it's the best use of our time. We can tell you more about that over at algofactory.tech. Just know it's a really useful tool. And there is a link. There's a, a referral link, right, in the description. So headed down, the most likely place price would head down to if it broke below this range would be down to 52,450, right? It's 52,500, maybe down to 50,500, this band right here. But you know what? If you're to ask me right now, do I think price will head down there? I'd say no. It could. It certainly could. And as things progress, I might have a little bit more data that says, okay, maybe it will. But until price breaks down below the bottom of this range, this kind of, again, it's not that well of an established range, but it seems to be what's going to happen range-wise. And until price breaks below this $60,000 level, I wouldn't really think too hard about price heading down towards the $50,000 level, right? I would expect price to head down and bounce back up. That's what I expect. Even though the halving is here and there's a bit of a move down, the halving is getting really close. And there are a lot of Bitcoin moon boys. And we know that the institutions are buying it up, right? Now, Bitcoin is selling off a little bit from a flow aspect because GBTC, grayscale Bitcoin is selling off. We know that. That's not, surprising news, and it's selling a little bit more quickly than the big players can buy, because we know BlackRock and all of their ilk are buying it up, and they're buying it up very fast, very quickly, but Grayscale is selling it off faster than they can buy. And this is because people are redeeming their Grayscale shares, right? So Grayscale has to sell in order to redeem, in order to, pay people for their shares. Like, they don't really have a choice, right? I mean, I'd imagine if Grayscale had a choice, they would hold on, just because Bitcoin seems to be like it's going to want to go up. So if you're wondering, well, why would Grayscale sell if Bitcoin is so great? Well, that's why. Because they have to, because people are selling the Grayscale shares, because Bitcoin's probably at a premium right now. They can actually sell Bitcoin at the Grayscale premium to go and buy Bitcoin without that premium. They can take the cream off the top. And as that happens, Bitcoin is kind of rocking back and forth. Now, I don't know that the premium sale is going to continue to keep price down. I think it might be some downward pressure on price, but I do believe that Bitcoin's price is going to continue to do what it was probably going to do anyway, regardless of Grayscale, because there are a lot more people buying Bitcoin than just BlackRock. I'm starting to have my normie buddies ask me, oh, should I buy Bitcoin? And, I always tell them, hey, I don't give investment advice, man. That's some decision you got to make. And I'm very careful. And, I say, oh, I think this and I think that. And I just give some ideas. But long story short, when I've got people who were making fun of me for buying Bitcoin, or not buying it, but for, longing Bitcoin a year ago, so, oh, it's trash. And maybe they got into crypto 3 or 4 years ago at the top and they lost a bunch of money and they're just whiners. Well, all those whiners are now like coming back to me saying, oh, should I buy Bitcoin? And I'm like, dude, why, you were making fun of me a year ago. Now you want to buy it when it's expensive. Well, the actual question is it expensive? In the long term, I don't think so. I think that the price will be higher easily. I think, now I don't know for sure, but I think the price will be higher, like say in about 4 months than it is right now. So I don't think it's a bad time to buy Bitcoin at all. I think one of the most successful strategies for people who are not traders is just to simply average in. A lot of people will just buy whatever, $200, $300 a month worth and just keep stacking it. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad time to buy Bitcoin at all, but I think the best time was a year ago. However, these dips right here do give us some opportunities. So I think that price might dip down to this $60,000 range. And once price comes to this area, right? Once it comes to this lower order block from back in, I'd say late February, we're going to see how price reacts. I think that it will do what I just drew. That's what I think will happen. Okay. So let's go ahead and open it up to the comments. Let's see here. 2020 had that event. Could we get, okay, yeah, Cool Cats talk about a black swan. That would be why Bitcoin would go much lower. It would be a black swan event. 2020 had the COVID crash, right? So all the markets in 2020 crashed. They crashed hard. So we can take a look at that. Again, this COVID crash is why I don't include 2020 on my halving data matrix, because of that crash. That was a unique event. And of course, a lot of people have a lot of theories, and I'm not going to crap on anybody's theories at all. But if you look back here, and this is the weekly chart basically, right? This prior halving last year, I think, was in May, if I remember correctly. I can bring it up, but let's just say it was in May. Pretty sure it was something like that. Well, there was the COVID crash, and the market's doing great, and then the markets ramped down because of the COVID crash for 5 or 6 weeks. Price just kept heading down, down, down on everything. Traditional finance, black swan, right? So traditional finance took a hit because COVID became, big. We had the president declared a state of emergency. A lot of the local lawmakers, or they're not really lawmakers, a lot of the local appointees, unelected, go ahead and shut everything down. And so prices really, really dropped. The market panicked, right? So that did happen, and that move down was unique. It was a move down. Let's see here. Let's measure it. Of 63%. And that's unique. Most of these moves down are, like I say, 20 to 30% by my measurement. So, that's why I don't include that. But let me see here. Mopar Man says, bought a couple of hodl bags of Fetch and Ondo while they're dipped, hanging on for the ride. Gonna buy some more if they go lower. Oh man, I'm glad you're using that work, Mopar Man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, I don't give investment advice, but those are two cryptos in which I'm interested for the long term. Ondo in particular. I did a whole show on Ondo, why I like it. It was 2 days ago. Go check it out in the YouTubes. But yeah, I think there's a big case for Ondo to do really well. Ondo is like under $1 right now. I mean, if you ask me, long term, that's a smoking deal. Based on like who they're friends with, based on their partnerships and what they want to do. It's huge. Okay, so but yeah, back to Cool Cat's comment here. Yeah, we could always see some kind of a an event, but again, that's whenever you're trading. This is why we have stop losses. This is why in trading, I never just simply buy something and blindly sit back. As a trader, now as an investor, it's a little bit different. I invest in Bitcoin. I don't think I've sold Bitcoin in a long time. It's just now I've longed, I've shorted it. I've been able to take profit on like Bitcoin trades, and that's a little bit different, right? That's different than actually selling my physical Bitcoin. I do have a company that I trade for, and of course, I use positions for that company where I can go long, go short, take money out, and get paid. But in the meantime, I don't sell my physical Bitcoin or physical Bitcoin. It's kind of a silly thing to say. It's not exactly physical, or is it? I don't know. Whole new world, harder to find things. But my actual spot Bitcoin, I don't sell that. So anyway, this is what I expect. I guess we have a little bit of time left to take a look at one more coin here. So I'm going to choose Ethereum. Now we can go over Solana and AVAX and the rest in the private group. But for now, we'll take a look at Ethereum. And basically Ethereum is going to develop its own price action that is more or less based on Bitcoin. So, I don't think we'll see any surprises here. Yep. So Ethereum was ranging, dropped out of the range, grabbed the liquidity that I marked out a couple of days ago. I just marked this out as where price might go next. And surely it did. So I guess I wasn't paying attention when this happened. I could have made a nice trade, but you can only take so many trades, man. This is why I am automating my trading, right? So it can just like do this for me. So this is now going to head down probably to this low. I mean, it's a pretty obvious spot for price to go down to. 3,050 seems like a price where Ethereum might head down to. Now, there is some support right now on the chart for 3,250. So price really could make a stop there. But if Bitcoin continues down, and I think it will, at least in the short term, then Ethereum might blow through that and then head down to this 3050. Now, again, what happens on the Bitcoin chart is going to be very influential as far as what happens on the Ethereum chart. So to kind of look at Ethereum's price action, the market is rather efficient. So the price action on Ethereum and the algos are very usable. But we're still, and maybe always will be, in the world where Bitcoin is going to be in charge. Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin goes up, most cryptos go up. Bitcoin goes down, most cryptos go down. Altcoins tend to be basically a leveraged version of Bitcoin, right? So again, I think Ethereum will probably take some liquidity at 3,250 and drop down at 3050, right? Just based on what I'm seeing in the Bitcoin chart. So we even have a few minutes yet left. So again, I'll save Solana and AVAX for the gorilla because I know he's going to want to see that. But let's take a look at Ondo. We just got done talking about it. Now, Ondo is going to be tough to put a value on as far as like how high it might go, because this is not a crypto that has any comparisons, right? It's not a crypto that has any other examples of, the same kind of thing and what that's done. I can't look back and say, oh, well, this coin's like Ondo and it did this, right? I can't look at the market cap and say, well, this other coin is the same as Ondo and its market cap is this. It's a very unique coin. So again, for my higher time frame predictions and my analysis of Ondo, go ahead and take a look at that video. In the meantime, I am going to take a look at where I think price might go. Right now, if we were to treat this move up as one big impulse, I already have the Fibonacci tool lined up on there. So the 618 is sitting at, right now, this is the 618 Fibonacci retracement. Fibonacci tool is extremely useful and it's great for Confluence. If you want to know more about the Fibonacci tool, come on over to algofactory.tech. There is a QR code at the top right-hand side of the screen. It's a very easy tool to use, extremely effective. I know traders that use nothing but Fibonacci and price action, and they make a lot of money. So this whole thing doesn't have to be complex, folks. But I'd say a decent place for a price to go might be around the 618, which is 61.5 cents. And if price heads down there and Bitcoin is ready to not keep falling, then I may go ahead and back up the truck and buy me some Ondo. Let's also take a look at the volume nodes. Because I don't think I have any Kingfisher data on Ondo. I think it's too new. Kingfisher is mostly for established. Holy crap! Ondo is on here. Let's take a look. That's actually nice. Kingfisher keeping up to date, man. And by the way, folks, the fact that the Kingfisher took time to program Ondo into its software should tell you the market's opinion on Ondo, by the way. That should tell you a lot. We have 72 cents and 64 cents. So 72 and 64. So we got 72, which price is almost there now. So that seems pretty likely. And then 64 cents, which is right above the 618. So I like the 618. I do. I do like the 618, but price may stop at the 64 because that is where the liquidity is. This is where the liquidations are on the exchanges. And again, that's maybe talking about things that some people don't understand. And you can come on over to Algo Factory. That tool, the Kingfisher, it's like having a Bloomberg terminal, or at least a small, tiny part of the Bloomberg terminal. It's like having the data that only the real players have, right? Now, what's interesting about this volume node is that now I just took a look at this, and this tool I'm using now, most of what you see on the screen is all free on TradingView, right? Comes with the TradingView subscription, and there is a strong volume node with a jut out at 72 cents. So that is an extremely likely place for price to go right now. So if I were interested in Ondo, which I am, I would look to pick some up at 64 and 72 cents. And as price hits 72, I would be looking at the rest of the market, and I'd be looking at the algos to determine whether or not I think price will actually head back up. So Ondo buys, I'm not setting a buy, but I'm very strongly interested in buying Ondo around 72 cents and again at 64. I think this has been very thorough. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. We're going to go over to the private live lab. And we do this every day. We do this every weekday, right? So I do this kind of beginners live lab. It's aimed at beginner traders, even though we do cover some more advanced concepts. If you are not even a member of Algo Factory, you can ask questions. You can ask through X, you can ask through YouTube or Rumble, any of them, right? If you have a chart you want to see, if you want to know how to use very basic tools, I can help you with that. That's what this is about. It's free to the public. So come watch, ask questions, all that kind of stuff. Now, Algo Factory is over at algofactory.tech. You can zap QR code on the top right-hand side of the screen, okay? And we teach you how to use these tools. We have an in-depth university that via the Grill and I have developed, and you can go through that. And we have a Telegram room that is open 24/7 where we answer your questions in there as well, okay? So go ahead over to algofactory.tech, join us, and we will be able to help you create that algorithm that could help you extract money out of the market on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, depending on what you want to do. So
join us or die.
there it is. If anybody can name that movie in the comments, I will give you a gold star. That's all you get, though. Gold star. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.